Good evening, Brawlhalla fans, and welcome to Raidhyn Teaches Excel. Today we're going to be going over a spreadsheet filled with Brawlhalla damage values, because there's nothing more entertaining than looking at a spreadsheet. Not even lying, not even a little bit. But there is some good information on here, and I figured this might be of interest to all of you who watch my Brawlhalla videos. So here's the basic breakdown of what's going on here, and I'll actually see if we can't zoom in a little bit more. Let's see if that's a thing. Oh, look at that. That's beautiful. All right, so basically on the left here we have our attack types. On the right we have, or on the top columns, we have our weapons, and then there's average values over here. So what's interesting to note about this is that right now guns are ridiculously overpowered when it comes to raw damage output. Hammers do significantly less damage on some moves than you would expect. Power Lance is kind of really all over the place. And yeah, these are the damage numbers. So what's interesting about this is if you look at the average total, let's see, we're going to have to scroll out here real quick. All right, so if you look at the average total down here, across all weapons, the average damage is about 21.4. So pretty much every weapon is below that average with the exception of the sword and the guns, with guns having a ridiculous amount of damage. Now, the reason that Power Lance is pretty average, but the thing is that in a 1v1 situation, some of these numbers are kind of incorrect, because if you take out all these heavy moves that nobody ever really uses in 1v1, suddenly the numbers start to look kind of different, and you can see a lot of the values or averages go down right off in the bat. And we see that the damage average goes down to 20, where you can see everything is around average or below average except the guns, which is still ridiculously overpowered at the moment as of 1.5.3. Now, I've been making a lot of arguments in the last couple days about how I think that the sword got nerfed, how spears and guns are now the best weapons, with guitars following right behind, and how the sword basically got the big shaft. I think hammers and power lances, them being the heavier, slower weapons, they were always kind of meant to have more force, less damage. And when I was talking with one of the developers today, he basically said that originally there was a 2-weapon system in place, and the concept was that you would have one weapon that was really good at chip damage, like doing a lot of damage, but not so good at force, and other weapons that had lower damage but had great force moves, like the hammer and the power lance. So some of these numbers I'm expecting to change soon. I know that this big disparity here is not intentional, so we're probably going to see some of the damage on the guns normalized within the next patch or two. And I know recently that the devs have been focused a lot more on creating 1v1 balance as we get closer to open beta and the eventual ranked 1v1 mode that they've promised is coming. But the thing that's really interesting about just looking at the straight damage values is how, if you think of 1v1 as a battle of attrition where the goal is to put as much damage down as safely as possible, you can see right now that you basically have to use either guns or the sword in order to do that, with the spear following right behind. And part of the reason why I'm arguing that the sword is kind of underpowered right now is partially because its speed got nerfed in addition to its ability to hit confirm into different moves. So I don't think it stands up very well against the spear and the guns. However, I don't think that the guns or spear need their moveset changed. I think their moveset is great. I think the priority is great. I feel like the other weapons kind of need to be brought up to that level. I think the sword needs to go back to the way that it was before 5.3, when we were all having stupid amounts of fun with it, and that hammer and power lance need to get some sort of tweaks, either to just raw damage output to make up for how slow they are, or some tweaks to a few of their moves to make them more 1v1 viable. But we'll see what the devs end up doing. I have a lot of faith in Blue Mammoth. They are pretty awesome people. They're really purposeful about all the changes that they make. They don't do anything arbitrarily, and they're constantly talking with me and with other players in the 1v1 community about balance suggestions and our thoughts on things. So we'll see what happens in the future, but for now, I hope you guys found this information useful. If you did, please hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, say nice things to me in the comments and all that good stuff. If you want to take a look at this document, I will have the link to the Google Doc in the description below, so check that out. And I'll see you next time.